I'm Cynthia Gabaldon. I graduated in 2003 from Life University. Yeah. I've been in practice for 12 years in Orlando, and my practice is about 90% prenatal and pediatric. The neighborhood that I live in and work in is a neighborhood that is an all-inclusive kind of neighborhood. So you have businesses and restaurants, you have doctor's offices, grocery stores, and about 800 homes, all in a small area. You can pretty much walk to everything in my neighborhood. So when I moved there about 5 years ago, there was another chiropractor 2 doors down from my office. Now, my office is a unique setup. My office is in the front, and the house is in the back. In my neighborhood, there's about 3 blocks that they're called work lives. So I walk about 5 steps to get to work. It's kind of cool to have a family. So I learned when I first moved there 5 years ago that there was another chiropractor just 2 doors down. I also learned within that month that another chiropractic office, a big chiropractic office, opened about a quarter mile away from me, about 2 blocks in the other direction. A little bit intimidating. So 2 years after I moved there, 3 years ago, I hurt my shoulder pretty badly. The doctors were telling me that I had to have surgery or shots in order to be able to practice. I had to close my practice for several months, and at one point I questioned whether or not I'd be able to continue practicing. So one day I see the doctor that was 2 doors down from me walking his dogs, and I approach him and I ask him, I'd never met him, and I asked him, could you please adjust me? I can't even lift a set of keys. I can't even work. To be honest, I didn't have any idea if this guy was a good chiropractor or not. I just knew he was a chiropractor and he was close by. So he said yes, but he said he could only adjust me for 2 months because he was going to be closing his practice. So I went to his office, 2 doors down, the exact same setup as my office. There was nobody in this office ever when I went there. He did ART, which is active release technique. I'd heard of it, but I'd never had it done to me. I can tell you that what he did to me in 2 months with ART is in large part the reason that I am here without any surgery, without any shots, with 100% function in my arm. So one day I came back from his office and I was a little bit insecure because this guy did something that I didn't know how to do. And I was telling my husband that I was a little bit unsure about my own skills because I should be able to do this to my practice. I should be able to do this for my patients. And he said something that I will never forget. He said, oh yeah? What can he do to a breech baby? Can he do to a breech baby what you can do to a breech baby? Well, everybody knows what I can do to a breech baby. People come far and wide to see what I can do to pregnant women and to babies because I have established a niche. And that's when I learned the value of having a niche practice. This doctor, who was amazing at what he did not have a niche practice. Here I was 2 doors down for 2 years. I love chiropractic. I am a chiropractor. I had no idea that he was an incredible chiropractor. If I had known, I would have been sending him patients. Just so you know, that other practice that opened a quarter mile from me, that office is closed as well. That was a very general, all-in-the-box kind of an office. I don't know how to work this thing. So tonight I'd like to talk about the value of a niche practice. I'd like to identify what a niche practice is. I'd like to go over some exercises to help you identify your own niche and help you to identify some marketing strategies that can be tailored to your niche. What is a niche practice? According to Julie Littlechild of Investment News, a niche practice must meet 5 criteria. It must be specifically defined, represent something that you're passionate about, have unique and identifiable needs, be accessible, and have strong economic potential. There are different types of niche practices in chiropractic. I was a chiropractic assistant for many years before I came to chiropractic school. I've worked in each of these types of offices. The first is a prenatal pediatric family practice. That's my kind of practice. That's what I have. In my office, we have a changing table in the bathroom. We have extra diapers and wipes, because sometimes new moms forget to pack that kind of stuff in their diaper bags. We have a play area with a little plastic kitchenette that the kids make food out of the plastic the pots and pans, and they have the plastic foods, and they make these gourmet meals for everybody waiting in the lobby. We have a television in the corner with cartoons. We have pillows for moms to nurse in the office. We have 2 or 3 pillows just laying around on the chairs so that they know that not only are we encouraging them, but we're supporting them in nursing. We have a very laid-back attitude. We dress very casually. I've been known to practice many times in shorts and sandals. The next practice is a wellness exercise weight loss practice. That practice would look different than mine. That practice, the physician and the staff might wear sports attire. They might have weights and TheraBands, and maybe that practice is affiliated with some sports teams in the community. The next practice is a geriatric pain neuropathy type of practice. This practice might have office hours that are more appropriate for this type of patient. Maybe they're open from 7 to 3. Maybe this doctor practices a low-force technique. This office might have a more serene type of environment when compared to the circus that I call my practice. And the last one, I'm new at this kind of presentation, so the last one you can't see is a workers' comp, litigation, personal injury type of practice. This type of practice might be located downtown. They might have a more elaborate decor. They might have a conference room for depositions. They probably have a records department. Maybe they dress more formally and have relationships with surgeons and other physicians that are involved in the case. So how do you find your niche? This requires some soul searching. Do you like to golf? Maybe you should communicate to your patients how chiropractic can help increase your range of motion. I know golfers are very interested in shaving a couple of strokes off of their golf game. Maybe you could align yourself with other people in this industry and make yourself the authority on golfing. That would easily fill your practice with people that share your passion. In my world, I was obsessed with pregnancy, labor, and birth since I was a kid. I wanted to be a midwife. In fact, I was working on my prereqs to become a midwife when chiropractic found me. That's another story for another seminar, but it made sense, looking all these years later, that my practice would be full of pregnant women because I was always drawn to pregnant women. Also, I was always drawn to kids. When I went to school here, I worked at Jared's over in Kennesaw, and we had these little bears that we could give to customers. And I worked in the repair shop, and if a baby walked in that door, if a family had a toddler or a baby, my focus would go straight to the baby. And I would find a way to get that teddy bear to that baby. And my coworkers would get so mad because I'm leaving my station to go play with the baby. But my manager loved it because in playing with the baby, now the parents would shop more because they didn't have to deal with their baby. Well, years later, my manager found me on Facebook, and as he was looking through my pictures of all the babies that I adjust, he said something on my wall. Why am I not surprised that you found a way to spend your day playing with babies? Well, it makes sense. That's who I am. I love babies. So I didn't have to look for my niche. I just had to identify it. It was always there. So these are some questions you can ask yourself. Are there specific techniques or skills that I have that set me apart from my peers, like the ART example I gave earlier? Also, the cold laser. About a month ago, I think it was about a month ago, the FCA convention was going on. And I don't do a lot of therapies in my office. I don't do any therapies in my office. So they had this big machine. It's called the Erconia. Big machine, $40,000 machine. And my father had an injury, and it's too long of a story, but he had an injury that I wanted to help him with, and I talked to the Erconia guy, and he said he could help, and I brought my dad, and it helped tremendously, just one day. So I went online to the Erconia website, and I found a guy near my town in Orlando who has this $40,000 machine. And I called him up. This guy has a 3-month waiting period to get to see him. 3 months. So I called his office and I said, listen, I've got a lot of patients that have C-sections, and I think your machine is really cool. If I am still the doctor, so you don't have to do their evaluation and all that, can I just send them over for your machine? So how cool is it for this guy who aligned himself, who made it very clear what his niche was, and made it easy for me to feed him patients? How cool was that for him? I'm giving him patients, and he's not even trying. Are there types of people or populations that you gravitate towards? What are you into? There's a chiropractor that I went to school with. I didn't know her, but a few months ago, I was trying to redo my website, and I was looking at examples of other chiropractic websites, and it was so fascinating to me. She's got a sports chiropractic office, and she's got videos of how to use a foam roller for low back and how to tape to prepare for a race. What are you into? Are you into nutrition or exercise? How can you make that part of your niche? Once you identify your niche, now it's time to center your business on it. So the same article that I quoted earlier from Investment News, this is the link to it. It's actually an article for law practices, but a lot of the concepts pertain to what I'm talking about today. And they mentioned 5 questions relating to niche practices. Number 1, does your website make a bold statement about your niche? If I go on your website, will I know clearly who your client is, who your niche is, who you're serving? Do the products and services that you provide your patients differ based on the needs of your niche market, or do they look similar to what others offer? Number 3, does your hiring process incorporate an affinity for or specific experience in dealing with your niche market? So when you're hiring somebody, can you find some questions to see if this person is a candidate? Maybe they are familiar with your niche, maybe they're not. Number 4, do you take a thought leadership position to advance the thinking in your chosen niche? Now, I'll be honest, I didn't know what thought leadership position meant, so I looked it up. A thought leader is one whose views on a subject are taken to be authoritative and influential. Are you authoritative and influential? Number 5, have you said no to a prospective client? This is a tough one because obviously we're here because we want to help people. So we don't want to turn anybody away. So an example that I can share about this is a person who sees 4 pregnant women a year is not going to have the same skill as someone who sees 4 pregnant women an hour. So I tell my patients, although you don't need a certification to see pregnant women, it does make a difference because I'm connected with lots of people that are in the birth community, and I have lots of resources that maybe a chiropractor who sees many different types of patients isn't aware of. Maybe I'm more in tune with some things that are normal or not. Likewise, if I get a sports injury in my office, maybe I can adjust them and make them better, but maybe somebody whose focus is sports injury, maybe they can help them a lot faster. So saying no to a prospective patient is maybe the more selfless thing to do so that you can provide better care for your patient. Marketing. Marketing for your niche is very important. Facebook for me has been huge. I would say, conservatively speaking, that because of Facebook, my practice has increased tenfold, probably more. I love Facebook. I'm on Facebook socially, and I'm on Facebook professionally. I have a corporate Facebook page, but to be honest, I don't really work on that one that much. I can't divide my personal and my private and my business because they're all in one. I am that mom on Facebook that posts pictures of my kids, and I comment on other people's Facebook pictures of their kids. So I build a relationship with my patients long before I even meet them. And this just happened to me about 2 weeks ago. A woman told me, and these are her words, that she's been stalking my page for 3 years now. She actually came in and asked me a personal question about my son because I had posted something about him the week earlier. And she said that she's watched me on Facebook and her daughter presented with something that I have posted about on Facebook, so she knew to bring her in. I'd been working on my relationship with this patient for 3 years before she ever brought her in. I use Facebook to educate, I post comments, I post articles, I post about vaccinations, I post about breastfeeding. I'm very opinionated and very open, and everybody knows what I think. On the other hand is my husband. My husband's a personal trainer. He's very private, and he's not as outgoing as I am. And so if he was going around commenting on people's Facebook pictures, he'd look like a weirdo. So he can't do that. What he does is he goes on Facebook and he finds mutual friends, and he friend requests them, and he sends them 2 free sessions to his personal training studio. And when they accept, now he has a chance to meet them one-on-one in his office where he feels more comfortable making a relationship. So he's found a way to take the same social media, fine-tune it for his personality, and make it a success for him and for his client. So it's important to keep in mind who your niche is when you're coming up with a marketing strategy. And it's also important to work within your own limitations, your interests, and your experiences. This is gonna fall. Help. Okay. I don't need that anymore anyway. So it's important to use the same marketing strategy has to be tweaked for what you're comfortable with, for who your market is, and for what's gonna be more successful for your personality. In closing, a niche is a practice that is focused on a specific type of client. In order to identify what a good niche is for you, you've got to ask yourself some questions to identify your passions, your strengths, and your specific skills. Next, you must center your practice, your website, and your marketing to best connect your niche. So before you can apply all of the ABCs of attracting a new patient or the 1, 2, 3s of keeping a new patient, I think it's important to identify who that patient is so that everything that you do and everything that you place in your office is a reflection of who that is. I actually made it on time. This is my website. This is my email, my cell phone. If you need anything, I'm definitely available to help. It wasn't that long ago that I was just starting my practice, so if I can help in any way, I'm here to help. Thank you.